Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to talk about how a tiny AI mistake can blow up into this huge security problem. But really, this isn't a story about tech failing. It's about something much, much bigger: how we manage this stuff. Okay, so let's start with a real story. Picture this. A developer is building a tool, for data visualization. They ask an AI for a little help, looking for a specific Python library. And the AI, it spits out an installation command, super confident. The name of the library sounds totally legit. So the developer, trusting the AI, just runs the command. The whole team starts building on top of this library, right? They sink weeks of work into it. Then an audit happens, and whoops, that package they'd been using, it never even existed.
This is what we call an AI hallucination. It's when the model just makes stuff up, but says it with total confidence. And look, this isn't some crazy one-off bug. It's actually a known thing with these systems. It's just part of how they work sometimes. But here's where the story takes a really dark turn. Someone with bad intentions sees that non-existent library name and registers it themselves, and they upload malware to it. So now any other developer who gets that same recommendation from the AI is unknowingly installing malware. We're talking about a massive, massive security hole. So you hear that story and you think, okay, that's a technology failure, right? The AI messed up, it gave a wrong answer, simple tech problem, end of story. But no, that's not the whole story. It's not even the most important part of the story, not by a long shot. The real critical mistake here wasn't that the AI made an error. The mistake was that the process, the human workflow, had no way to catch it. There was no safety net, no one whose job it was to just stop and ask, hey, does this thing actually exist? And this story, it's not a one-off. It's a perfect example of a bigger pattern. In fact, we're seeing the same 5 types of failures, governance failures, pop up over and over everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's finance, HR, you name it. So understanding these 5 patterns is the key, not just to get what went wrong, but to stop it from happening to you. Let's dig into them. Okay, so the first 2 are kind of similar, but the difference is really important. Pattern 1 is the confident wrong answer. This is easy. The AI is just flat out wrong, like a report with bad math. But pattern 2, that one's sneaky. It's the plausible but contextually wrong output. The info the AI gives you might be technically correct, but it's totally wrong for your specific situation. Think of it like getting generic legal advice that misses a brand new law in your state. All right, number 3, automation without accountability. This is what happens when we're so excited to automate something that we accidentally remove a person from the loop. The person who used to make a judgment call. So when an error happens, everyone just points fingers because nobody is officially responsible. That's a huge gap. You've got to have a real human name next to every big decision. Number 4 is the feedback loop that was never built. See, AI models get stale. Imagine a credit scoring AI trained on data from before the pandemic. You just let it run for 5 years? Well, it's now making decisions based on a reality that's completely out of date. The model's performance slowly rots away because nobody was tasked with keeping it fresh. And then there's the 5th one, which is maybe the most human of all, the human who stopped looking. We've all been there, right? The AI gets it right 100 times in a row, so you start to trust it. Your review process gets a little lazy. It becomes a rubber stamp. And that's exactly when a small, simple error slips through and causes a disaster. So you take these 5 patterns, you lay them out side by side, and you start to see they all point to the same exact thing. There's one big idea tying them all together. And here it is. The AI is not the problem. The tool itself is not the failure point. The real failure is the missing human layer. It's the lack of a smart, well-designed process built around the AI to catch its mistakes and manage its blind spots. And check out how perfectly this lines up. Every single one of those failure patterns points directly to a missing governance step that we could have put in place. A confident wrong answer? You stop that with a verification step. Automation without accountability? You fix that by putting a person's name on the decision. See? It's not a tech problem, it's a process design problem. Okay, so what do you do with all this? Let's make it super practical. It's time for you to go find your own biggest risk. So here's your homework. Sometime this week, I want you to pick just one, real workflow where your team is using AI. And I want you to ask these questions. Who's our verifier? Who is the actual human accountable at each decision point? And hey, when was the last time we actually checked if this thing is still working well?
You don't have to be an AI guru to do this. You just have to be an expert on how your team gets its job done. And that all boils down to the single most important question you can walk away with. Of these 5 patterns, which one is your biggest blind spot right now? Seriously, think about it. Because figuring that out is step 1. It's the first step to building better, safer systems, avoiding those huge mistakes, and frankly, making a much more credible case for using AI in the first place.